If you've been looking for a way to add three-dimensional depth and volume to your mixes, but you don't know a lot about saturation or EQ, the guys over at Musik Hack might have just come up with a really clever solution. Hey guys, it's Steve from Featherlight Studio, and in this video we're checking out the brand new plugin from the guys over at Musik Hack called Sweet EQ. Now this is an intelligent equalization and saturation plugin and promises to add real 3-dimension and volume to your mixes without pegging the meter, and that's a pretty tall order because saturation plugins can be difficult and challenging to use, mostly just because your ears acclimate quickly to saturation effects. You can add some real brittle and harsh frequencies to your mix and not realize it, and then it's tough to back up and get that perspective back again. Sweet EQ has been out for a couple of weeks now, but we didn't want to just do a quick online review where we just step through the features and the presets. You don't need us for that. There's plenty of other people doing that, and you can do that on your own. We actually wanted to use the plugin in a real-world production environment from a project that's actually on our studio calendar. So this is a great Northwest artist. His name is Dalen Hargett, and he's a country artist, and this is a great example of a song that needs a little bit of mid-range punch and presence. So we're going to be using this on this mix and see exactly what we can expect out of it, both on buses and on the master bus. The plugin is really straightforward to use. You got your input and output levels here. These can be unity matched, which I think most plugins should have, so you're not being fooled by the volume changes. However, there may be times when you want to leave that unchecked so you can hear the actual volume changes. That might be something that you're using as an indicator here. You can reduce the clips or overs by engaging this. You can oversample the plugin, which may add some latency, so be aware of that, and you can bypass it here from the interface. Here in the meter window itself, we've got these handles here that allow us to drag to the left or right, and this engages the high and low pass filters if you just want to operate in something, in a region. You can drag the entire thing once you set them around, and then you can just drag the individual handles where you need them. Very straightforward. The low end adds some low end saturation, and it can be pitched. This is very handy. You can go all the way from 40 hertz up to the mid range. Density adds, I think, the kind of saturation most people are probably going to be familiar with. This is the wide emphasis or wide band saturation. And as you add this, it's going to add some grit and meat to everything. Mix is how much of the plug you're going to hear. The lift adds some mids and high mid density. And the high end adds some sparkle and breath. And if it gets too garish, you can calm it down with the calm down slider. Under here with a little arrow this is going to be your configuration window. You can do some housekeeping stuff in here as well as change the colors. And some of these colors can be pretty garish. Really can be pretty hard on the eyes and things. And you can also change the meter behavior as well. We'll get into that. One of the most important things here probably, besides, the help feature, if you have that enabled and you hover over something, it'll show you the help, for each one of the sections, is this feature right here, the scale sliders feature. If you have that enabled, which it is by default, if it's enabled by default, what that simply means is that these sliders here are not linear, meaning the bulk of the slider itself is really dedicated to about 20% of the throw. And that just keeps you from going too far in the weeds, which is, I think, very handy. And it'll just keep you from making too many, really, really heavy-handed moves. When that's disabled, then the meter is just linear. You can use Sweet EQ in a lot of different ways. You can literally put it on every track if you wanted to, but in this example, we're going to put it on some of our buses. So we're going to put it on our drums bus and our bass bus and maybe some guitar and things, and get a sense of what it really can do for our mixes when it's just dealing with groups. All right, let's hear what the low end is going to do with this. Currently it's at 60 hertz. Let's bypass it. Bring it back in. Yeah, really, really nice. And it's tunable as well, so we can change this from its 60 hertz position. So we still need a little bit of overall grit to the drums. They're pretty scooped in the mids and pretty kind of back there. Let's add some density. And we're going to take it out of unity as well. We want to be able to hear the volume changes. We can engage that later, but we really want to be able to hear what's going on. Let's take it out of unity. Woo! So big differences here. All right, let's add a little lift and see where we're going with that. Boy, and you can really tell it doesn't take much, especially with a live snare like that, to really bring that out. Take it out. Bring it back in. All right, let's add a little high, see if we can bring those hats out a bit. You can bring that lift down a bit. And the common button is supposed to kind of help keep those garish frequencies at bay when we really start to emphasize some of that high-end saturation. Let's engage that, see if that helps. And it does a very nice job of that. It actually adds a little bit of kind of analog roll-off to it and gives us that high-end kind of breath and air and presence without it getting really, really brittle and harsh. Moving on to the bass, we're going to add a sweet EQ to our bass bus. We've already done the drums. We got actually plenty of bottom end, so that actually sounds pretty good. Let's just play with the density itself. We'll keep it unbypassed, and we're also going to keep it out of unity because we want to be able to tell if we're adding bottom end as volume or mid-range as volume. We want to hear if we're actually getting, more volume. So we'll take it out. Put it in. Take it out. Bring it in. So let's take the bus out of solo and hear what it sounds like. We'll bypass it first. Bring it in.
Been alone for so long.
Take it out.
I'm out here on the road and it's so
Bring it in.
cold. Cold. Pretty women all around.
Next, we're going to move on to acoustic guitars. And the acoustic guitars in this are nice. They're panned hard left and right. They've got a real nice bed track feel to them. Let's go ahead and solo them. We'll bypass the effect just so we can hear what the guitars sound like. All right, so you get the idea. And we just need to bring them out a bit. We need to bring them a bit forward and give them a little bit of breath and air and shimmer up on the top end because they really need to compete with that whole mix there. All right, so as you can hear, it's not so much a volume thing, it's really a tonal thing. They're just kind of getting lost in the mix, and we don't necessarily need them a lot louder. We just need them to kind of poke through on the top. We're not going to add any low end, but we are going to engage the high pass filter. Right now, it's all the way down at 0. We're going to put it right around 99, which means starting at 99, it's going to roll off everything. So this is what we had before. Bring it in. Take it out. All right, so you can hear we're just rolling off the bottom end on this. We're not doing much of anything else here. We're going to leave that high pass filter where it is. We're not going to add any low end, but we're going to add a bit of density. And you can hear this is just adding a little bit of weight. You'll also notice that we're leaving the unity button out. We actually want to hear those volume changes since we're kind of using this like an EQ in the sense that we're using the saturation in the areas, the density, lift, and high, these 3 tonal areas here. We want to be able to hear those changes. Let's add a bit of lift. This is going to affect the mids and the highs. And as you can hear, it doesn't take much, 12%, and that's really being brought forward here. Let's try some highs and see if we can get a little bit of shimmery top and air to this. Check it out. Bring it in. Doing a real nice job of bringing those forward. Let's hear what it sounds like in the mix. We'll take it out first. Bring it in. As you can hear, Sweet EQ is doing a great job of rolling that tubby bottom end out of there and adding a really nice shimmery top to the track. Let's add it to the vocal bus and see if we can bring some of those lead vocals out a little bit and add a bit more presence to them. So we'll start with a bypass and listen to the lead vocal.
I'm still searching for the one that makes my heart beat like I strum. This old guitar and I'll play.
All right, we'll bring it in and we'll start to add a little bit of density here.
I'm still searching for the one that makes my heart beat like I strum. This old guitar and I'll play till I'm gone.
Let's add a little lift to it as well.
I'm still searching for the one that makes my heart beat like I strum.
And you can tell
This old guitar and I'll play.
a little bit of this goes a long way.
I'm still searching for the one that makes my heart beat like I strum. This old guitar and I'll play till I'm gone.
Let's check it out.
I'm still searching for the one that makes my heart beat like I strum.
Bring it in.
This old guitar and I'll play till I'm gone.
Now let's listen to the cumulative effect of all four buses with Sweet EQ and pay special attention to the master bus. None of it matters if we just clip the master bus. Here's before.
When the sun goes down and this silver tongue has turned my soul to stone. So
Bring them all in. Let's watch the meter.
when the sun goes down and this silver tongue has turned my soul to stone. So
As you can hear, a big change in presence and density without just clipping the meter. In this next example, we're going to apply Sweet EQ to our master bus and let it make those decisions on our entire mix and see just how much three-dimensional depth and perceived volume we can get without pegging the meter to our master bus. In this example, Sweet EQ will be the only active plugin on our bus. We're going to leave the Unity button engaged, and we've made some tonal changes that we like. Now keep your eye on the master bus. Let's start out with our bypass sound.
when the sun goes down and this silver tongue has turned my soul to stone.
Let's bring it in.
So I'm still searching for the one that makes my heart beat like I strum. This old guitar and I'll play.
Let's take it out.
When the sun goes down and this silver tongue has turned my soul to stone.
Let's bring it in.
When the sun goes down and this silver tongue has turned my soul to stone. So
Improvements I'd like to see, color presets that are independent from the plugin and the meter presets, so you don't have to step through all of these. Some of these can be pretty rough on the eyes. It'd be nice to have them at a glance. I'd also love to have an independent color control section over the meter that was independent of the color background, as some of the color combinations make the meter extremely difficult to read. Currently, I'm not sure how much actual information is being provided by the meter itself. It might be more helpful to have the individual tonal sections be a color and then have that color represented on the meter so we have a better idea of exactly what's happening to our mix. If you're looking for something that's going to add three-dimensional, space and vibe to your mixes, and perceive loudness without pegging your master meter or pegging the buses or the track meters, you really ought to give Sweet EQ a try. Hey, thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate it. It's always great to have your company. If this was helpful in any way or you learned something, please hit the subscription and notification bells. It really does help keep a young channel like this going. And be creative. Add something creative to the world because it could really, really use it. Take care. We'll catch you guys in the next video.